Hello everybody. So let's get everybody to tune in. All right, some people are finding the video. Awesome. So I'm just getting myself ready, getting myself some paint. I'm using primary colors and then black and white. So that's yellow, red, blue. Hey Lori. Welcome, welcome. And yes, let us know where you're tuning in from. Some blue, some black. Hi guys. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I just see somebody said from Oshawa. And I'm just getting my paints all ready. Don't forget you need a water cup and some brushes. I'll show you the brushes I'll be using. Okay, got my water. And some of the brushes that I will be using. A large and some sort of medium brushes. They're generally rounder and then more detailed brush. Hi, thanks for joining guys. And I'm, scooping some white paint onto my palette here. Good thing I have a drop sheet below me. Just drop some. Hi, Veronica. Yep, you can watch this later. As a reminder, we have this up. I think I'm going to keep this up for a couple weeks actually, because I know that a lot of people want to watch it later and sometimes they don't have time, so why not keep it up later. So we'll just wait maybe 2 more minutes just so some more people can tune in and find us. I know sometimes it's hard to find the actual video. And I think as a lot of you know, my name is Liesl. I'm one of the artists and the Avera is the other artist. I'm teaching you how to do the burning sunset today, and you guys are free to change up colors if you want to change up anything in the sky or in the water and whatever you guys want to do. I'm just going to show you how to do this one, and you can follow along, put your own twist into it, make it your own painting. Alright, so yeah, just yeah, we'll wait another minute. Okay, so I need red. I need to get my red. And if anybody's ever wondering, I always use Curry's paint, and it's just a preference, and I also have a lot of it, so I'm using it all, and it seems to be doing really well for me. Your first time, awesome. First timers, you can say that it's your first time, maybe even your first time painting in general. You got white paint at Staples. Wow, I've never actually got paint at Staples before. Okay, so one more time, I'm just gonna go over the stuff that I have that I'm gonna use, and they're just recommended supplies. I use acrylic paint, primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and then black and white. Hey Deborah. And also you need a water cup. And you can see my messy palette that I put all my paints onto. Don't want it to drip. Also for brushes again, going over them. An assortment of brushes is always great. Large for most of the background, and then some more smaller detailed brushes. You can see them a little bit better. Maybe some more detailed pointier ones are great for doing the dock. And you can use a Q-tip instead if you don't have anything detailed. So no problem. And usually a cloth or paper towel is great for dabbing the extra water from your brushes onto. All right, so I think we can get started. Whenever I'm finished a step and I'm asking, I can't see what you're painting, right? But I can see your comments, and if you give me thumbs up, like the like button, I can see those, and the heart buttons are awesome too. So you can give me those whenever you're done a step, and then we can pretty much continue on. All right, just reading the comments there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on my 16 by 20 canvas, if you have a different size, really fine. You can use any size. You're going to just take your very large brush, dip it in your water, and just lightly wet the canvas. And if anybody's asking about supplies, I actually wrote them in the description, so you can see it in the description as well, but I'm using primary colors and black and white. Canvas, some water, and just lightly go over it. Hey Rala, and hi Vera. Hopefully I'm not freezing up, so just making sure. I just didn't get any more comments about that, but maybe it could be internet connection on anybody else's end. But I'm hoping that you guys can see me very well and hear me very well. Okay, so I lightly wet the canvas to get it started. So, taking a look at this one here. I'm doing a lot of warm colors. I'm actually used to doing a lot of cooler colors. I'm kind of, I don't know, I've just been in a phase where I like to do a lot of cooler purples and blues and teals, but this one I did the nice burning sunset look, and I'm going to start, it's always nice to start off lighter, so some nice yellows with some white. So on your palette when you're mixing it, I'm going to pull that yellow to the side with my big brush, and then I'm going to take a nice scoop of white. Nice scoop of white. And see how it turns like very sunshine yellow? I'm trying not to tilt it too much so my paint drips everywhere, but there you go, much brighter. And if you want to replace the deck with anything else, maybe a boat or like a, a rowboat, or maybe a loon. Okay, so I have my sunshine yellow, the very bright yellow on my big brush. And I'm going to start with a horizon line for reference. It's pretty easy. You're just going to go right across into the middle of your canvas. Right, and then from here, couple things. For base, I like to do a little bit of a base color with this bright yellow, kind of going in the center a bit more. And then the same thing in the bottom. So the bottom part, the reason I'm doing it, it's kind of like, it looks like a tornado. You're just going back and forth with your brush, and you're just doing it shorter and smaller, longer strokes towards your horizon line, so that it kind of gets a nice reflection from the sun later on. So we already have like a base there. And we're going to go over it later, but you know, base colors are good to start with. So just go back and forth, and it's see, like it kind of looks like a tornado a little bit. And then you can see I put a bunch of yellow in the center here because I'm going to overlap it with some oranges and then reds later, but it's yellow is easy to cover. All right. So yeah, just give me the thumbs up, or you can hit the like button basically to let me know that you have finished that. And I don't wash off my brush after that. I'm actually keeping the yellow on there because I'm going to go straight to doing oranges. And I got a bunch of likes and thumbs up there. And just remember, this is going to be, this is actually being recorded so you guys can rewatch this afterwards in case you're falling behind and stuff like that, you know, if you need more time in between steps. So with the same brush, I'm actually just going to take a little dip of red. You see how it's very little? I'm going to add it to my yellow and white section. It kind of turns into like a cheesy color. I'm starting off gradual here. We don't want to go straight to a dark orange, but you can see now it's just a little bit more of like a cheese color, like a Kraft Dinner cheese, I guess. You can add a bit more red if you don't want it so yellowy, but I like to start off yellowy orange. Okay, and then in the sky, I am going to start making, you want to go outside of your yellow and drag it lightly in. You can always dunk your brush in a little bit of water to help it blend a bit more. And I'm just going towards the more edges. It's a nice build up here. And you can see as I flick it into some of my yellow, it looks like it's a nice little transition. And I'm going to buff this part here too. Grabbing some more water and some more paint. And then I'm going to take that across and just drag it into the other side. There's an easier way to blend this too afterwards. And dunk in my water, some more paint. If you have to mix more, that is totally fine. I'm just mixing a little bit more. Continuing on. You can drag that into a lot of your yellow. Somebody, do you use gesso? Is that the question? And some people are saying that I keep freezing. I hope not. Okay, so if it's not freezing for other people, then yeah, it could be an internet issue. Okay, so I have like a very light orange, and I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna build on it. I'm gonna go darker to like more darker orange, and then I'm going to go to more reds and stuff. So with this same orange, while you have it as well, I'm going to use this again and just put it down here. It's kind of like a mirror image. We're just doing everything at once while we have the colors. So I'm just dragging that a little bit into my light yellow, except I want down here my yellow to stay more bright yellow and not so much invaded with my lighter orange. And taking some more orange, that yellowy orange. Going to the other side. Yep, this is going to be available to re-watch afterwards. So I'm just, again, dragging this a bit into my yellow as well. It's going to look a little chunky at first, that's fine. Interesting, so it's just like maybe an issue all around with anybody who's going live. So, other side with this orange, dragging that in. And bringing this down a bit more too. And I plan on putting more darker oranges and some reds, some fiery reds, so that it looks more like a burning sunset. Washing off the brush. Okay, so let me know when that is done. And if you have a more of a peach color, you just have to add a little bit more yellow probably, or maybe less white, so you can mix it again, yellow and a bit of red, and then not so much white. That might help, so you don't have too much of a peachy color. Okay, awesome. Getting a bunch of thumbs up that this is pretty much done. And we're going to smooth it out, so just let it dry for a bit. We're building it up. Great. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do, before we start blending the yellow and the orange, because it might be a little bit choppy, I'm going to be taking some darker oranges now before I get into the red color, so that we build up to the colors. And I'm still going to be using the big brush. So I've washed it off, and maybe you might want to make another section which is yellow, big scoop of yellow. Not in that same section, because I don't really want any white into it. I don't want it to have that peachy color that somebody was saying before. I want more of like a vibrant orange, so big scoop of yellow. So you're going to take about 3 parts yellow to about 1 part red, because red is so much darker. And if you still want it more red, just add little increments of red into it. All right, so I got my orange. Now from the edges, I'm going to use the thin side of my brush. The painting the sides is good to do at any point in time. Like right now is probably a good time because this orange is on the edge, so paint it orange on the edges. Yeah, I just saw that on my computer screen that there was a little bit of a freeze up. Okay, should be good now. So again, I'm just taking that orange, which is yellow, so a nice big scoop of yellow, and just a little, well not a little, but like just much less red, and then mix it together so you get more of like a vibrant orange. No white, don't add any white to it. So So grabbing more orange. And just doing the same thing on the other side. And you can bring it up a little bit higher too, just a little bit. Try not to go too high because I want to go into more reds and then some purple at the top. And a little bit of like on the very edges, just some streaks going in. Starting to get a little bit more deeper in color. There's a storm passing into a high, oh wow. I can still see my image on my screen. I shouldn't be freezing. Like on my computer, I have 2 popped up. All right, so in the water, I'm going to do the same thing. Just like wispy, very streaky. Use the thin part of your brush, keep doing that. And just streak it in on the outer edges and drag it towards the middle. So now it's like blending over top of that light orange, right? So we have a nice little gradient. And then the other side. And hopefully you guys are keeping up with me okay. I see that there's like a lot of just issues with connection in general today maybe. It just sounds like all around it's not good, but on my computer screen, I have 2 screens on, so it looks like it should still be okay with connection. Okay, so give me thumbs up when this is done, and then we're just going to go back over into the middle and just blend it out a little bit more with some of that lighter, bright, yellowy colors and lighter oranges. Great, yep, getting lots of them, awesome. Perfect. Okay, like I said, we're just gonna go back over with, I like to actually switch up my brush. So this one, wash it and put it to the side. Put that to the side. And I'm sure when you guys rewatch this, there's not gonna be some freezing issues. I think it's just, I think it might just be a Facebook thing, to be honest, or something like that, because it seems like it's happening to a number of people in random places. So this brush here, more medium kind of rounder brush, a little bit of a point. I'm going back to that bright yellow I started with, which was yellow and some white. So a little bit of yellow and a nice big scoop of white. And I'm just mixing that up. A little bit of water helps. So to blend a bit more with the oranges that we just did, well, it's still a bit wet, it's fine, because it's all the similar colors. You're just gonna lightly brush over and make it very streaky. And just mostly in towards the middle, just to break up any choppy lines that you think need to be blended a bit more. And they all can be different lengths. I like to go more wider towards the horizon line, so it's like that's where most of the sun is shining down there. Okay, so that was yellow and some white mixed together. And yes, this is being recorded. Interesting. There's thunderstorms, maybe that, yep, that's could be why it froze. Okay, so after you do that yellow, you can go back to your lighter oranges if you want to put some of that more into the outer edges of that. So it's like building up on it. If you need to mix it again, you don't have to get the exact same color, because then you have different colors in your sky and it's actually nice and not using the exact same colors you had. So I just mix a little bit more so it comes out maybe a little bit differently. Again, this is just some more lighter orange that we've used previously. And I will wait just a little bit while you guys do that and catch up. And I'm just washing that off when I'm done with it. All right, so I'm just seeing any comments here if you guys have any questions. But yeah, you can give me the thumbs up whenever you're done. Yeah, just a reminder, whenever you're in this feed, maybe sometimes it's a little finicky with connection on somebody's end, and you just have to refresh the page. I don't know if it's a Facebook thing. Good, got a bunch of thumbs up there. And oh yeah, there's like this interesting and fun thing that Facebook has graciously give us access to, which is we usually, when we get support, sometimes you guys send us e-transfers or PayPal, but you can send stars, and you can send stars later for sure. Okay, so I got a lot of thumbs up there, and I'm assuming that means that you guys are done. And you know, we're just gonna leave that for a bit now. It's gonna make more sense as we get a lot more filled in. And we're going to let this dry before we start doing that nice little burning sunset here at the bottom with a bit of like a reddish cloud and a white sun. I actually did it in white. So I'm gonna wash that off. And then take my big brush again, and we're going to continue upwards. So the color I like to do a straight red. You can, if you like pink, it kind of looks pinky here, right? Because it's a good, anyways, it's a good transition into a purple to do with red or a pink. And I suggest a hot pink because as we go up, it gets a little bit darker. So I'm taking straight red on my brush. And see, I'm just going over the top here. It just makes it a lot more vibrant red, very going with that nice sunset, fiery sunset look. And sometimes, like with the thin edge of my square brush, I like to wisp a little bit of that down here on the sides because I really like red, the red look and everything. And you can see I'm just doing long strokes going from that top part of the orange and just bringing it up a little bit before I get into some purple. And yes, this is being recorded to watch later. So you can see I just do a couple streaks here. If you really like red, maybe you'll do a lot more of it. So a nice little chunk area with the red. And by the way, whatever you leave white at the top of your canvas is going to be purple, or if you want to do blue instead, you can. I'm going to do purple. So just decide if you want all of this to be purple, or if you want to add more red. Maybe you want to even add more orange and drag it up more, because you can always go back and add in more colors. No problem. Yep, you can do it at your own pace later. It's always a great thing to do. And I think, as we know, since we're doing the same kind of thing in the water, do the same thing in the water with the red. And if you want to make pink, all you have to do is just add some white to it and it gets pink. The more white you add, the more light pink. The less white, the more hot pink it's going to look. Alright, see how I put red down here and red up there, so it's like following the same pattern. And yep, I'm just waiting. For those who are ahead, you can, opportunity to paint your edges while you wait for a minute, especially for those who are really fast painters. Maybe you have maybe a smaller canvas to work with too. And any touch-ups you want to do. If you want to do any touch-ups back in the middle, you can always build on everything and just go over the middle section. Like maybe you just want to put some more streaks in there with some yellow and white again. And let me know if you have any questions about anything in particular. And I see some people are giving me the thumbs up, like you're done that whole step. Fast painters. I'm just taking my orange and putting some back in. I like to play around sometimes. And I really like the orange. Yeah, for blending, really it's mostly just getting used to it, getting used to the technique and practicing. What I find easiest for blending, just by telling you, is depends on the paint you're working with, but adding a little bit of water can help for blending if you're having a tough time doing that. Or when in doubt, usually just take some white and put it in between some colors to help blend it while it's still wet. But I think another little tip for blending is not too much paint on the brush too. If you're trying to blend it into another color, just kind of go over it a bit lighter. That might be another thing. And okay, so yeah, give me some more thumbs up. I don't remember if there was a lot there. I think we're still just waiting another minute for you guys to catch up here. Oh, there we go. And yes, no problem, Bonnie. You go relax and maybe get some sleep in. All right, so since we're done with the red, now we can start moving on to a completely different color, purple. You gotta be careful with purple because you do not want it touching and mixing with your orange, because then it makes more browns. And there's nothing wrong with that unless you're trying to avoid browns, so just be mindful of that. All right, where's my big brush? Oh, here it is. I'm going to go back to that one. Make sure it is rinsed very, very well. Otherwise, if you have orange on it, it's not going to be good for purple. Okay. I'm going to show you how to mix the purple. On my palette, I'm going to take, actually I'm not going to turn it that way because it's going to drip everywhere. I'm going to take this blue, okay, nice chunk of blue, put that somewhere else, put it over here, whatever, and then you're going to take a big whopping scoop of red. Like I said before, when you're mixing colors, sometimes colors are more darker and harsher than others. Blue, you have to take probably 2 parts, when you take red, you're going to take about 2 parts red to 1 part blue. Depending also on how like red pinky you want it. If you want it more violet, then yeah, you can have equal parts red and blue and it'll be more violet looking. This one's going to be probably, this one's actually not going to be too long because it's mostly just a lot of background work, which we're almost done here. And then we just have to move on to the sun and the island and the tree and the dock, and yeah, it should be like another hour to an hour and a half. So I have a nice dark purple, and if you want to lighten it up, you can just take a little bit of white just to make it a bit lighter and also show you its true color. This one's a bit more on the blue side. I'm still going to add a bit more red. I just really like the more red looking. And also in our painting we have a lot of red, so it makes sense. When you're happy with that, you can always add more white if you want it lighter. You're going to start up top so you can see, probably your darkest is going to be at the top, right? And if you want to change it up, then you can, because you can see what it looks like on your canvas. Like, this is pretty dark. I'm happy with it like that, but as I drag it down to meet with the red, maybe just grab a little bit of white while your paintbrush still has purple on it. And it's easy to blend it into more of that reddish color that I had before. And I'm going to show you exactly how I blend this now. I'm gonna wash this off just so that it's easier to blend. If you have way too much paint on, it's even harder to blend. So I'm gonna take a little bit of white, like I said when in doubt for blending, white, and a little scoop of that purple. And it's gonna get super, not super light, but you know, like a lot lighter. And you can add a bit more red to it, because I like more, it's important to have it more on the pink red side so it blends with the red. And voila, you're gonna see it just fades right into it. And hopefully that was a really good blending tip for you guys. And that crosses over to pretty much almost any color you want to blend. All right, so once I've blended that, then you can just carry on and fill everything up top. So you can go back to your darker purple and just fill it in. And of course, do the bottom as well. For blending in the bottom, it's not really that necessary because water, it can be more choppy looking, more streaky. Although if you really like that blending technique, I'll do it again. I know some of you appreciate a little bit more tips on how to blend. So again, just a lot of more white with your purple to get a bit lighter. In between, just lightly brush over it. Maybe a little dip of water, like I said, might be helpful depending on your paint. Unless it's already watery, don't do it. And drag it down. And then immediately switch to your darker purple and then lightly go over it. It blends really well. And taking more dark purple, just filling the bottom. I like it really dark too because I'm going to be making it look like it's very shadowed, and later on I'll be adding a little bit of black. And just mixing more of my purple because I ran out. Now I'm going to switch sides. This canvas is, my arm length is not that long, so I need to switch sides. Well, I'm glad you're having fun, Melanie, and I'm sure you're not doing a bad job. I think, you know, there's different ways to make backgrounds if you like doing more colors than others, or switching up colors. And some people are ready. Yep, if you're ready, you can give me a thumbs up, I'll see it. Okay, getting some, but we're going to keep continuing on doing this. I know some of you are not done. And afterwards, we like seeing results. I know that maybe some of you've noticed that lots of people are posting their own pictures of their paintings on our feed afterwards. It's great. It's great to see. We love seeing the results, and you know, everybody has their own interpretation of the painting, because art is art. Just getting the very bottom here. A lot harder to get than I had thought. Okay. Here we go. Yes, I like these colors. They're pretty fun. So, just washing that big one off so that I don't think we're going to be really using it anymore. Yeah. Okay, putting that to the side. Okay, who else is going to be needing more time for this? Because after this, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to go put a little bit of a horizon line back in because we can't really see it right now. And then we're going to make the sun with the little clouds just underneath it covering the bottom. Fun stuff. Alright, so I don't think people really need more time. Nobody said anything. Oh, maybe somebody said something. Okay, some people are saying more time. That is fine. No problem. And yeah, sorry if it froze. Sorry about that. I don't even know if it's freezing or anything like that. It would tell me if I was frozen on my phone. Okay, so I'll leave this here so you guys can see it as you're finishing up your backgrounds. And like I said, in the meantime, paint your edges. You can actually go change your water now if you're waiting. For those who need a little stretch, if you need to get a drink, if you need to change your water so that we can start doing the sun in white, and you think your water's too dirty or too something dark or something like that, go change it. And I'm glad you're having a good time. It's great. This should be relaxing. It's all very blended stuff and usually a relaxing kind of technique to do. And for those, whoever is joining us for the first time, we do free events, I think at least once a week or maybe even twice a week. And we also do Zoom events. You can just check out our events tab and just see what's going on. We like variety, so we actually, sometimes we like hearing what other people want to paint. You can give us ideas. Jennifer, well, I hope you guys are smiling. Okay, for those who need more time, and for those who are ready, hit the thumbs up button if you're ready. Okay, getting some thumbs up, awesome. Somebody said sharks. Does that mean you're gonna put a shark in the water? Okay, yay, lots of thumbs up, yay. All right, so I'll show you the original again. Now you can see a little bit closer the sun and how it's, you know, kind of setting there with a little bit of cloud. So first off, we're gonna make that sun, and that's in white. And for those who are waiting, you're probably waiting for people to finish up before we move on. And you changed your water, so that's good. I didn't change mine, so it's gonna still be okay. Somebody said, can you put more blue in your sky? Absolutely. And I'm going to show you where the sun's gonna be. So I'm actually taking a little bit more smaller brush, right? White, pick up that white. I have a nice amount of paint on my brush. So I know that my reflection from the sun's gonna be right about here, and my sun, so just envision where you can kind of see where you put that initial horizon line. I know I want mine right around here. So of course I'm gonna go above that, just a little bit higher, and just put a nice circle, like a toonie size basically. Yeah, I would say at least about a toonie size is good. Just circle that in. Oh, sorry, I'm taking like a toonie size circle with white. Keep in mind, when you go over background colors with white on top, it tends to pick up background colors if you keep rubbing it in. You don't want to keep rubbing it in. Just do your one coat, and then when it's a bit more dry, like you've waited a minute, just do your second coat and it's more white. But it doesn't have to be perfectly white. It's not like it has to be perfectly white. It can have a little bit of a yellow tinge to it. It looks more natural and realistic that way. So I'll just go in the center again and just make it a little bit lighter. All right, now I'm not going to keep touching it because it's just going to get bigger and bigger with a circle unless you want a giant sun, but I'm going to leave it like that. I should not be on mute. Nope. I think it's just your volume that you just need to turn up, or there might be something that you need to fix on that end. Okay, so you can see my circle. And I'm sure a lot of you have already done that. And you want to do the rest of this, the little cloud. It's supposed to be fun to do, don't overthink it. The color is kind of like an orangey, there was a little bit of an issue with the connection there, sorry guys. Okay, so moving on to the cloud, that's just right, cutting off a little bit of the bottom part of it. It is yellow. Remember making orange again, yellow and red to make a more orange color. And you're gonna need a lot more yellow than taking red, right? Because we don't want it too red. So when you get a nice orange color, I didn't add any white, at least not yet. And what I do is I kind of just go along, I start on the side, just kind of just clump up the paint and kind of cup it underneath the sun a little bit, just bring it back up. Like a very fluffy little straighter cloud. I'm gonna go a little bit more red actually, because you can see a bit more. And I just see how I'm just clumping the paint on. And if you want to paint a shark, go for it. I'd love to see that. And I'll show you the same technique. So after you've done that, I kind of just take a bit of some of my orange just to make it a bit lighter and just drag and clump it a bit below so it kind of fades a bit more into the sky. You can cover the sun as much as you like to. The white reflection, I haven't really done the reflection. It's actually more yellowy. So I'm back on this side. So see how, if you can, hopefully you can see my strokes, but little wispy lines. And the color that I first started again with is some orange and red, no white. Well, this is orange. And I'm just kind of putting that in my background because I have extra paint. Why not? You love the art. Awesome. I have like so many paintings. Lots and lots of them. I paint every day. And that's not a bad thing. I like it. Okay. Give me a thumbs up when that is done, because right after this I like to go into the water and just touch up the highlight in there with some white right after that. I'm just going to turn on the light. Okay, getting some thumbs up, great. Nice. Thanks, I'm glad that you like all my paintings. All right, so I got a bunch of thumbs up there, and with that same kind of medium, if you need to switch to a different brush, but something like more medium, I do take some white on my brush and lightly touch up a little bit of the highlight here, just to where you put that yellow, so that it's a bit more brighter. And if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it's just something that if you want to make it even brighter. And again, it's longer strokes at the near the top, and then it gets a kind of tornado twister kind of look. And hopefully, I'm just looking at it from, okay, so I need to straighten it out. I just noticing painting on an angle is not the best thing to do. There, just a little bit, hopefully a bit more straight and even. I agree, painting is really soothing. Again, if you didn't want to do that, you didn't have to. And then this was just white. It was just a little touch up in the middle to make it even brighter in the reflection. So you can see it's just much more brighter. Okay, so I'm getting thumbs up there. And after this, we're going to be switching to some black, the horizon line here, and a little bit of black down at the bottom. Yay, Melanie, thank you. Okay, so let me know if you actually need a bit more time. I like to check in sometimes, see how we're doing, and if we need more time. And you said please. I think that means you need more time, so yeah, we can, yep, okay. So we'll just wait another minute or so. Okay. No problem. Yeah, okay, so we'll just wait a little bit longer. And for those who are waiting, you know, take a little stretch. You can also take a step back, look at your painting. It's not the same up close, and you can see it is for as a whole. And you like the extra white? Yeah, I think the extra white is pretty cool, but makes it even brighter. Oh my gosh, your cat got on the paint. That sucks. I actually stepped in my paint on the bottom here. I dropped some white and I stepped right into it. And a good thing I have a drop sheet. Oh, person that still can't hear me. I can't really do anything about it because they can't hear anything I'm saying. How long have I been painting for? I don't know, like ever. I think it's something that I just liked doing since I was a kid. I just started off drawing and then started painting. Ah, yes, taking a picture of it with your cell phone. That's a really good idea. Okay, let me see if this light will be any beneficial. Maybe, yeah. Scarlett, you're hilarious. Okay, now we're going to be introducing some black into our background and also the horizon line here. You can see these little trees. You can skip trees if you're one of those people who just refuse to make trees because they're just so hard for you and you hate them so much. But you can make like kind of like bumps, like little hills, or maybe make a mountain of some sort. So that can be another thing you can do. And I also streak in some black near the bottom here. Okay, to do all of that, we will be using a more medium to smaller brush. If you need to, you know, switch up brushes as you go, you can. I'm going to use this more medium rounded brush. And I'm going to grab the black. And Melanie, yeah, I hope you can paint with us again. We have so many paintings. So much variety. Okay, I'm gonna stand on this side because I can reach a bit better. Horizon line. I want it to come out right to about here, there. And just drag that. Hopefully I did it straight enough. Yep, okay. I didn't go to the very edge. I just wanted it to be more like an island. Yes, this will be up for like, actually I'm gonna keep this up for a bit longer than usual. I'm gonna leave it for like a couple weeks. And as you start filling this in, you can fill it in however you want. I like to do a little bit of like a bump for a hill and just maybe another little bump along your horizon line. I find this to be a lot easier to do because you're just doing little bumps and little hills for now. And I just like to get a nice little bit of height. And the reason that I get a bit of height with my black is because when I do my trees, I don't have to worry about making the full tree. I can just make the tops of the trees and then the bottom is all like just, you know, bunched together like a forest. And scarlet, oh my goodness. So when you guys have that, just, you know, let me know. Hopefully it doesn't take you too long to do that. How do you send stars? You know, it's very new. I think it's a very new thing to Facebook. I've actually no real idea how to do it. I think you just click how many stars you want to give and then you just, I guess, purchase them. So I think I saw some thumbs up there. I think like each star is like 1 cent. I think that's what it is. Right. Hopefully we have that. Okay. Yeah, we're going to continue on with this, and I'm going to do trees. So if you don't want to do trees, you can just leave it as it is. You're FaceTiming and painting. That's awesome. That's so great. And Bonnie, where do you find it? I don't know, actually. I think that there should be an option just to be able to give them as the video is playing. I don't know if that's a thing, like you can do that. So I'm going to start with little sticks. See, I'm just doing, yeah, sticks, and I'm going to leave, this is going to be a nice little bump and go back around it. They're not all the same height. And Mary, that's actually a good point. So if that actually makes more sense. So if that doesn't work for you, yeah, you can do PayPal or e-transfer. And oh, our first stars, Stephanie. That's so fun. Thank you. I've never seen, they're so new, I've never seen them before. Okay. Those sticks are what you start with. They're very easy to work with, and then when you do your trees, you're just going to dab a little bit at the top. Okay, and then you're just going to start going a little bit, just dabbing, going a little bit wider as you go down, and it looks like a little tree. And just do it again, just all of them. And you can see they're all different heights. And yes, I do them pretty close together. So just see how I'm just like lightly tapping, making it very, you can space them out a little bit so they look like you can see between and in through the trees a little bit. So tap, tap, tap at the top, make it nice and pointy, and then just tap and go wider as you get towards the bottom, and then it looks like a nice distant tree. Now, these are very distant looking trees, so you don't have to spend so much time making them perfect. They're not supposed to be very perfect looking since it's far away. You don't need to worry about that. And I'm just doing the rest of my trees. Yeah, we have, yeah, if you want to, you know, support us artists, we're new with this page. We started it like probably 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago. You can definitely send some support through PayPal if you wanted to. But we are just glad that you guys are enjoying these. These are fun for me. What brush am I using? It's this more rounded one. It's kind of got a little bit of a point. You can also use a square. Squares can work. You just have to be careful. You just want like more detailed so that you don't go too big with all your dabs. They're supposed to be very, again, very far away, so very little, very little. And these little tiny ones, I just kind of do a couple little dabs and then just call it a tree. Yay, Rosa! Stars! They're so fun. I've only seen them like once before actually on some other pages. They do live videos too. Yes, this is black. This is a straight black, nothing else. Chris, trees look like monsters. I'm sure they don't look like monsters, but just remember, put little dots and dabs at the top to make them more pointy, and then you're just gonna widen them out at the bottom, and it looks like a tree. Honestly, it's just it's one of those things you don't need to try too hard with. Okay, let me know when you guys are done that. I did spend a little bit more time on the trees, and hopefully you guys were able to catch up in case you needed to catch up. I'm just looking at the paint on the floor. I'm trying not to step in it. Can you go over the black with red? Ooh, I don't know if you want to do that because it's not going to really be red. Thanks, Rosa. Start over. Well, okay, so before we move on, and for those who are done, if you wanted to start over, it has to dry. You can't do it now because you'll just drag black everywhere. You need to do a whiteout thing is what we kind of call it. It's like taking white paint when it's completely dry and no black is wet, and just white it out, maybe do 2 coats, and then just go over with your background color again and start over. All right, so I think we're ready to move on, and we've done that. Maybe some of you skipped this step because you didn't want to do trees, you just want to do mountains. And okay, great. So looks like we're good, and some of you are wearing paint. That's okay, I'm wearing paint too. Send black into the bottom here really quick before we start. We're actually getting to the close to the end. The dock is really the only thing that takes just a little few minutes of time, and then this little tree kind of shrub sticking out. To get a little bit of black down here, I like to, instead of just straight black, I like to just take black and some blue and then red. So you're making just really a darker purple. It's much darker. You're just adding black to your purple. And I'm still using the same kind of medium brush, and I'm just putting it on, going from the edge outwards and just doing nice streaks. Okay, so it already looks nice and dark down here, and make it very streaky because the water is streaky. That's what I do. And just the other side, doing the same kind of thing. I actually went a little too high here. It's okay. I'll go over that probably with some red if I can. And I like the bottom to be a lot darker because of the contrast. Mixing purple. It really depends on what kind of blue you have. If you have a completely different blue than me, which I use primary blue, then you're probably just making different purple altogether. That's why you're having issues. I use primary blue, or phthalo blue is good too. And I did a little bit higher here, so I'm just going to quickly try to make that just red. Try to blend that a little bit more. Oops. There, just that it's a bit more red so I can fix that little dark purple problem. And you can always just streak red anywhere else if you're doing this with me, if you need to blend it a bit more. Okay, who's ready for making the dock? Let me know, give me a thumbs up for doing the dock and starting that. If you're not doing it, you can do something else. You can do like a rowboat kind of sticking out if you want to. You can do a loon. And the black, oh, okay. That's actually the reflection. I haven't done the reflection of it yet. Okay, lots of thumbs up. Yay! We can start doing the dock. Okay, so how about this? Before we start the dock, we're going to do a reflection of the island because that's easy to do while we have the black. And again, with the black, I just add it to some purple, mostly red, so it's more of like a reddish, dark kind of purpley color, and there's just a little bit of blue, just so that people can do any finishing touches. But the reflection is just, again, little. I'm using, okay, go really fast, don't go too slow, and you can get nice wispy strokes as a reflection just along the bottom here. And I go a little bit lower on the very edge because that's where most of the height of the trees and everything is, and it kind of thins out to the side. And again, that's black added to some mostly red and just a little bit of blue, so it looks more like a reddish purple. You can see I just go back and forth really fast. A little bit of water helps too. So just lightly right here, here, and then just bring it down a little bit. You can bring it down as much as you like. And then bam, you have like this really cool looking shadow. I actually don't really do much after that. I kind of like it the way it is. so you can see a little bit up closer how streaky it is. It adds to the water effect. It looks very much like it's reflecting into the water. Okay. Yeah, just let me know when you guys are done that. I don't know how long it takes for you to do this step for the shadowing, but as long as you can even just do straight black if you don't want to do the reddish color. I find that straight black actually kind of gets lost, and it starts looking more like a giant island, which there's nothing wrong with that. And Mary, yeah, so I just went over that. It was not straight black. I'd actually put black, so just a little bit of black with a nice strip of red and just a little dot of blue, so it looks more like of a deeper red, purpley color. Okay. All right, now to move on to the dog, and this is going to definitely be something you need to just carefully do and go over. We're going to start with a gray, and that is black and some white. Black and a little scoop of white. So we're just going to get to a nice darker gray color. You can start off much lighter if you want to, so maybe if you need to start over kind of thing, it's easier when it's lighter than if it's really dark. So black and some white mixed. I'm going fairly dark because you guys can easily see it. I already have a darker bottom part of my painting, so I want to make sure you guys can see that. I'm doing it on an angle, is over here, and it's good to do, I'm going to have it end right about here actually. Just going to do a nice little line. That's where I kind of wanted to end. Just a short little line. Okay, awesome, Melanie. And now, this is where the interesting part happens. Hopefully you guys can see that it's really dark, right? So I just kind of start dragging it down, and it goes wider as it gets closer to you, because the perspective of it, you want it thinner on the end, wider, much wider on the bottom. So I'm just going to turn it this way for a second, make sure that I have it not too, you know, kind of off here. Okay. So the way you fill it in, you just do straight strokes back and forth. Just back and forth with the gray. We're starting with one solid color first. You need to get the sides first and then just start filling it in. And again, this is dark gray, how I fill it in. Keeping my lines straight. Okay, hopefully you guys can see a bit better. So I did suggest some other choices earlier. Like I said, a rowboat, like just a boat, any boat you want to do. You can do some sort of like loons in the water. And somebody said a shark. You can do a shark. Or, I'm just trying to think what would suit the scene. Oops. What else would suit the scene? If you guys, if anybody else has more ideas. But yeah, I think a boat or a loon would complement the scene very well. Okay. Are we done doing that shape Boys. That's okay if you checked in late. You can watch this. Dolphins. Yeah, dolphins could work, but I don't know if it's like, if it can be believable in a, it kind of seems like it's a lake. Someone said Sasquatch. Yes, I do think a canoe would be best, honestly, with the way that everything is in the sunset. It just kind of goes. Okay. I got a lot of thumbs up there that you guys have done that and filled it in. It's just a solid color. I'm just going over again, just making sure it's filled in. And now, I suggest we go to even smaller brush if you have it. Oh yes, a couple sitting, that's a good idea. Maybe like a Muskoka chair. There you go, Muskoka chair. Muskoka chair on the dock, that is. So more thinner, just a little bit thinner, because we're going to be doing some, again, I'm going to go to a little bit of like a lighter gray, but not too much lighter, just, you know, a little bit lighter, so that we can distinguish our little posts that are holding this dock up in, you know, from the water. So it's going into the water. And then you're going to do, again, you're going to keep these all straight. You're not going to turn them and crooked, because then it will be like just going this way and that way. So I'm going to do right on the edge post. See how it's going into the water? So that's one. And then just right over here is a little post sticking up on the other edge. And I'm going to do a post right around here. So, okay, sorry, I have to turn it. I just don't want it to be so lopsided. Just make it nice rectangles. See, the first one I did was lopsided. Anyway, there's one, and you can see it's going straight. They're all straight no matter where you place them. Just keep that in mind, please, while you do it. I'm going to do the other side. So I want this post to be right about here. And it's not going into the deck, or the dock, I mean. Yes, just a bit more white so you guys can see it. If you want to do the same gray, you can, but it's just easier to see, and then I shadow it afterwards. And another thing, after you do that and you have this lighter gray, now is a good time to start adding some highlights. Again, keep all your lines straight as I can possibly make this right now with an angled painting, but I'm doing a bit of a highlight towards the end of the dock, because that's where most of the sun would be hitting it, right? Whereas towards the back, it's more darker. It's a bit more darker and not as bright for the sun, because it's, you know, more shadowed back here. Okay, so I'm just going to try to carry that a little bit further down, just do some more straight lines. Wow, Melanie, you finally did it. You made a shark. You've got me all anticipated and ready for it, so I'm glad it's done. And I wonder who's adding a Loch Ness monster. That's cool. I'm just taking a bit more white, because you can even go even brighter just on the end right here. A little bit even highlighted, more highlighted. Again, it's really hard to do this on an angle, but you get the idea that it's more highlighted, and then back here it's a bit more darker. with that white, it's also a good idea to take that and just lightly highlight the tops of your posts. Just like a little line, and then maybe a little line following it down just a bit. So it's like going above and beyond. Hi, Julie. Just to do more depth and dimension into this. Also, for any shadowing, I'm going to be soon going into the water to make it look like it's kind of shadowed in the water, and it's not, you know, the post is not just kind of floating there. It looks like it's more in the water. But with some of the, black, you can take some black and just, you know, make it even more darker at the bottom of it. You can play around with the gray tones. Like all you need to know really is that darker towards the bottom of the canvas, and then as it gets towards the sun, it gets a little bit lighter with the gray tones. Okay, just turning this way for a second. Trying to get my lines a bit straighter. And you can let me know when this is pretty much done. So the last little thing that you can do, oops, I got some yellow in there, is with some black, just shadow near the bottom of your post and just on one side of it to get more of like a shadow instead of just the one solid color, right? It just kind of makes more sense to get a nice shadow on one side of it. No problem. You can, this is going to be done very shortly. We're going to be moving on and doing this little tree branch up here after we finish some details in the water with like the shadowing in the water. So yes, give me your thumbs up, like button if this is done. And you can always come back to it later if you need to spend a lot more time on it. I know that stuff like this can be difficult to work with. Because then you can rewatch it and just pause and take your time. I only got a couple thumbs up. Well, that's a bummer, Angela. Karen, so the shadow, I think if you mean on the post, I just put it more on one side. So I kind of picked a side and did a shadow, and the other side is just a lighter gray. But now for the shadow and just a little bit of the water so that there's a nice little shadow going in here. With your smaller brush still, this is a good idea. I'm going to be taking that nice dark purple again with the black. Remember I was telling you black and some red, just a little touch of blue. That's pretty much what I'm taking for the shadow in the water. And just right below on that post here, doing a couple lines, little wispy lines to make it look like it's shadowed, right up to the dock line, the edge of it. Now it looks like it's sitting more in the water. See how it's got a shadow? You can just follow it down a little bit more so it looks even more shadowed underneath the dock. And again, that was just black with a nice scoop of red and then a little bit of blue. Also, if you want to break up some of this line, you can just take yellow and white. You can just lightly brush that in just a little bit so it's got a little bit more of a highlight there, but mostly the darkness is good enough. You don't need to do too much of a highlight on the other side. And yes, Angela, the shadow makes it pop for sure. It just looks like it has more dimension and depth into it than just the flat color, because usually it looks more flat if you don't add a shadow or a highlight. I'm not going to keep touching this because it's just going to keep changing. And for those who need more time on this, I say wait for this video to stop, because I'm going to be showing you how to do this part up here on the branch. And then when it stops, you can just go back to the dock if you need a lot more time on it. I know that sometimes if you haven't been practicing making docks, like I've made this a couple times, it can take a lot of time and patience to do. The color of red, it's a primary red. That's what I use for mixing any colors. And this color down here, when I did the shadow underneath the dock where the post is, it was red, a nice big scoop of red, and just little bits of black to make it darker with a touch of blue so it's more purpley. Whoops. Whoopsies. And I'm getting some thumbs up, that's awesome, so we can start moving on. And again, just watch, if you need more time on the dock, come back to it, because it's not like you need to stop right away. Sometimes it's good to wait for it to dry, and then you can come back to it. You signed up on, just reading your comment stuff, you signed up to the boat on Zoom. Oh my goodness, you're doing a 3x4 canvas. That's how much you love my painting, that's awesome. Oh, it's Kira. Nice, Kira. That's amazing. Yay, Kira, you're doing a 3x4 canvas. So let's finish up our painting at the top here and put that nice little tree branch come in to give it a nice Muskoka feel. I feel like it just feels like it's more in the forest when we do this. And then that's done, and you guys can rewatch this video, take your time finishing up the painting. I'm switching to more of like a more medium kind of pointed brush. All right, black, just plain black. You can add a bit of blue to it if you want to thicken up the black. If you think your black is a little too transparent, you can just add, all you have to do is add some blue to it, and it's darker. It still looks very much black. So good little tip. That's a good idea, Angela. So I can't wait to see the results afterwards. This is going to be awesome to see everyone's different interpretations. Maybe you changed up some things. Yes. Jennifer, I like your suggestions and tips. Okay, I'm going to start from the very corner with the black. And just, I like to start off thicker. And you can see it's kind of like dancing around in the wind. It's got a little bit of a bend. Okay, Murray, I'm glad that you were able to just stick around and watch even. It's probably relaxing to watch a painting develop. Starting off thicker, pressing harder, and then just kind of flicking it outwards so it gets a little bit thinner at the end. And that is just one branch. And now I'm going to branch off of that, making like a little bit of a Y. Just keep keep branching off of it. Just lightly press so you can get more thinner branches as you branch out. And Gladys, thank you for joining. You're probably done. I'm going to be adding a lot more. So if the more you want it to be nice and full of leaves, and you don't want it so like empty, because then it just looks like there's not enough going on. I like to get, it's so empty here, I like to get a nice fill. You can build on and overlap branches, see? Just kind of stretched it out. Yes, I know, everyone's a big fan of Bob Ross, at least I am a big fan. Okay, so you can see I'm just building on branches, think in terms of like Y shapes, and you're like Ying off. You can overlap, have another branch come out from the other side. Just get a nice, again, fill of longer branches, but they usually have a little bit of length to them. They're not too short, because then it can look a little bit unnatural, but holding that up there. All right, I think what I'm going to do is, I've noticed that I went a little bit longer towards here. There we go. And if you're like, I don't like this one area on my painting, that is where you put a tree branch. No problem, Debbie. It's almost done. You can finish with the recording in like a couple, like 2 minutes basically. Now, to do the leaves, this is how we do the leaves. There's a lot of different things, but first off, sometimes I like to do just like little pressing with my brush to mimic actual leaf shapes. See, it kind of looks like a leafy shape, but I'm starting to overlap, so they're and they're different sizes, randomly placed. You don't want to make them so uniform and even, then it looks forced and it's not naturally laid on the canvas. And then that's, again, so like once you've done enough of those, if you're happy with it, or you can do a lot of what I did is just with that brush, I just kind of dab away and just make clumps of leaves all together. Just like a little cluster of them here. Leave a bit of a space and then continue on. But I just do a combination of a lot of things, mostly dabbing. You can even do some off the branch, like they're kind of falling down, floating away, you know, something like that. And I do get a lot of fill kind of towards the upper corner, because that's where a lot of the leaves, it seems like it would get into a very bushy kind of leafy area of the tree, and it kind of thins out and gets less and less as you get towards the tips of the branches. That usually is what happens as you're you know how trees are. It gets less and less towards the tips, and it's not as leafy. At least in my tree, it's not. And Melissa, if you don't want the dock, you can do some more black, yeah, at the bottom, just so you get some more shadow. You can still do it. And that should be pretty much it. So take your time, guys. Finish this up. Show me the results. And if you really enjoy painting with us. You can, don't forget to like us on Facebook. We love support. Show us, yep, in the event page, the results, or you can on this live stream, it's probably best. And yeah, hopefully it was fun for you guys. So in the description, you'll notice that this will be up for a couple weeks before it's removed. And if you wanted to send support, again, that star thing is pretty neat. Or you can just do, if you guys have sent it before, PayPal and you transfer, it's always great. So give me that last little thumbs up that you have what you need for this last little step, and then I'm going to stop the video so you guys can re-watch it. And of course, don't forget to sign the bottom of your canvas. Awesome, got the thumbs up. Okay, thank you everybody. And yeah, that should be everything. Until next time, maybe I'll see you guys again for another event, whether it's on Facebook like this or it's through Zoom. Check out our events page. And I got paint on my face, so great. Bye guys.